During the holidays, we tend to do a lot of baking, and often these are recipes that have been passed down through the generations, and they're ones that we make year after year after year. Many of these treasured recipes are even handwritten by those that we love, some even those that are no longer with us, which makes these recipes extra special. So today I thought we would take those treasured recipes and use them and come up with unique DIY ways that we can display these treasured recipes.
For this first recipe DIY, you're just going to need a cheese board. I found this Dollarama cheese board. It's made out of bamboo. They cost $4 each, but really any wooden cheese board, new, old, will do. You just want to make sure that it's long and rectangle in length. Now I wanted to darken the wood on this cheese board up a little bit, so I'm going to go in with a bit of antiquing wax and just apply a nice couple of coats of this wax, giving it a rich dark brown color. And I'm going to do this to both sides and on the edges of the board. And now once that's had a chance to dry, I'm going to go in with a little bit more of that antiquing wax and just thicken it up in certain areas, just giving it a bit of an older worn look. Now I had an old wooden clip that I had spray painted black, and I'm just going to go in with a little bit of this oatmeal folk art chalk paint and a stencil that I have just to give it a little bit of a detail so that it's not just a plain clip when I attach it to the board. Next, I printed my recipe out onto a piece of craft paper. I made it so that it would be almost the length and width of the board, but not quite. And then I just cut out and rounded out the top edges so that it would mimic the shape of the top of the cheese board. Now the hole at the top of the board was looking a little bit lonely, so I decided to go in with a nice thick rope twine and just cut off a large piece, tie that into the top of the loop, make a knot, and then just leave that just as a decorative touch and also a way to hang the board if I wanted. Next, I figured out exactly where I wanted the paper to sit so that I could figure out exactly where to attach that clip. I adhered the clip with a generous dollop of hot glue. And then feeling like the thing looked a bit bare, I decided to go in with a little bit of this lacy off-white ribbon that I had bought from the dollar store. And I thought that it would be nice to kind of hold the bottom of the recipe in this ribbon. So I measured out enough length of the ribbon in order to wrap it around to the back of the cheese board, and then I just went in with a bit of hot glue and adhered that to the back. And there you have it, the first beautiful way to display your precious recipes. For this next idea, you're going to want to print out your recipe, the method, the ingredients, and you're going to want to do this so that it will fit into a 4x6 frame. Cut out each of the pieces so that it will fit into that 4x6 frame. Using a paper cutter will give you the straightest line. Now for this DIY, you're going to want 3 4x6 frames. I had these ornate frames from the dollar store. I've had these for like 12, 13, 14 years. They've been painted and repainted. I think originally they were silver, and now they just look chippy and distressed and old, and I think that the 3 of them together are going to look really pretty. So whichever frames you pick, remove the backing, the glass, and we're going to go in with a little bit of crazy glue and a little bit of hot glue to adhere each of these frames together. So you're going to want to put a generous bead of both adhesives along the top part of your frame, and then add your second frame, clamping them into place and letting them dry and sit overnight. Once everything is dried and set, you're going to want to replace the glass on the top one, add your ingredients. The bottom one, you're going to want to add the method. And in the middle, you're going to want to put a picture, preferably a black and white picture, of you and the person in which you're giving the gift or recipe to. And there you go, another beautiful, practical, and personalized way to display your family recipes. These recipes are old recipes from my hubby's side of the family. I believe some of these are even written by his great grandmother, and one of them is typed out on an old typewriter. You can still see the stains on them, and one of them is quite faded. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the frames they came in, but since my late sister-in-law was the one who framed them, I didn't really want to get rid of the frames. I just wanted to change them up a bit. So I'm going to go in with a bit of painter's tape to mark off any of the glass so that I don't get any paint on that. Oh my goodness, I forgot the name and it's my favorite. What is it called? Drop it in the comments below if you can remember what my favorite color paint is. Those dry overnight, and then you're just going to go in with a wet rag and wet distress that paint, letting the underlayers show through and just kind of giving this an old world farmhouse look. For this next DIY, you're going to need a cake pan or a pie pan. Next, you're going to want to grab a recipe card that has been written by your loved one and a bit of Mod Podge. And you're just going to apply that Mod Podge to the back of the card, lay it onto the cake pan, put a little Mod Podge on top, clean off any of the Mod Podge around, and there you go. A beautiful way to display your recipe. This next idea is the simplest idea, and that's find yourself a beautiful or ornate box that really speaks to you and use this to hold your individual recipe cards. It's a beautiful display on your countertop and it just keeps everything nice, neat, and organized.
Well, that's all the ideas I have today for ways to display your recipes. If you enjoyed that, make sure you subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. If you hit the notification bell, it'll let you know the next time I upload. Oh, and you might enjoy these.